All right, everybody, welcome back to another week of Mama's Cooking. Today I have a special guest. I'm Qadirah, of course, right? And today I have a special guest. Her name is Nia. So welcome, Nia, everyone. And then, of course, we have our usual Howard.
What's up, y'all? How y'all doing?
Nia, where are you from?
I'm from Long Island, but I'm trying to move over to Brooklyn very soon.
Okay, all right. All right, cool. So today we're kicking it off with a conversation about something that could be triggering and a trigger warning. So I want to put that out there before I bring up the conversation. But I'm assuming that all of us saw the film or a clip of the film. I think it's called Imani's Story.
Mm-hmm.
And the film pretty much talked about sexual abuse that people experience, specifically like a man who experienced sexual abuse from like an older woman.
Can I be honest with you? The same thing happened to me when I was younger. I don't know if you would call it molestation because I'm a guy. And
It's still molestation if you're underage, Malik.
Right. Yeah, nah, you absolutely right. Yeah.
What happened?
I was 10 and she was like 22, 23. She was a close friend of the family that would come to the church regularly. And just happened, I guess.
Did you tell anyone?
Yeah, I told my dad. You wanna know what he said to me? He said I was a lucky motherfucker to become a man in the 5th grade. Yeah.
It's different for guys.
So I want to know your thoughts on the clip or any insight that you can add. It was really interesting to me because it was like the girl experienced it and then the guy opened up and was like, I experienced it too.
Yeah.
And it was like, wow, like, does this happen a lot more than we know? And just men don't talk about it. So I guess I'll start with you, Howard. Have you heard like stories of like men who their first experience is with an older woman that's like way out of their age range?
Yeah, I've heard stories, but the stories I've heard from the guys there, like, I'm like, okay.
They're like, it is what it is.
Yeah, it is what
like,
it is. And it's like a trophy for them, I guess.
Absolutely.
So,
It's
you know,
weird. It's a trophy.
which is weird. Some
Yeah, because
people
if you reverse
may
it, it's not a
don't
trophy.
like it, but yeah, he thought it was a trophy for him.
I think maybe it's just like a unawareness that it's rape. Like,
Yes.
And then I think also men don't want to. Which guys do you know come out and say, you know, I've been raped? You're like,
Yeah, they don't.
They will feel
about it.
embarrassed about it.
Yeah, that's
because they
true.
need to
It's-
be strong and they need to
Yeah.
be like solid rocks when it comes to their emotions. They can't feel, and they have to portray it as if it's a trophy because they know it's how people are going to expect.
Exactly.
So that even if they do feel some type of way, they can't express it.
Exactly.
You know?
So who knows? He was hurt inside really and
Absolutely.
and traumatized by it, but
Mm-hmm.
he played it off like it was a trophy.
Right.
Who knows?
And we did speak to someone who also experienced the same thing. So it's just interesting. I feel like I'm hearing more men like bring up these stories and it's starting to become scary. Like, first of all, where are these women today? Because they need to be addressed and they need to be in jail.
Mm.
Like, this is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you feel like it affects men in their adulthood when it's time for them to like start dating or start having sexual experiences after they've been raped and they can't really process it as sexual abuse?
First of all,
that's a good one.
it teaches them from a young age that they need to suppress their emotions, especially when it comes to sexuality. They're expected to just know what to do and know how to feel. They're not expected to have any questions or be confused or express that they may feel some type of way about themselves or the sexual experience or their partner or have questions or be curious or want to explore things because they've already been trained to suppress from a young age.
That's a good
they're
one.
trained themselves over time to suppress not just every emotion, but sexually. You know, they have high expectations as men sexually. And it
Right.
just really affects how they're able to be intimate in relationships with women in general, because they treat sex as more like an object.
It's-
They already have it as a trophy in their mind. So it becomes something that's way more like a thing instead
Like
of an
a
energy
material,
exchange with another
yeah,
human
yeah.
being, you know?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Just to piggyback, yeah. That's why you'll see most guys like probably try to rush sex.
Mm-hmm.
That could be a reason because of that, because they were rushed themselves into having sex. So that's why they probably rush it.
And they
It's
prioritize
like a
just
trauma.
the satisfaction of, you know, the woman being pleasured or the man being pleasured instead of the actual energy
Actual
exchange.
energy
Because sex isn't
exchange.
always about one or the other person finishing. It's about the actual
It's what-
connection. And then
Amen.
because you're taught that you're supposed to just please a woman, a lot of men will just focus on that
Pleasing,
part,
mhm.
whether it's pleasing the woman or not. Because as we know, not everybody prioritizes the other person on both sides. But they're taught that they need to just reach a certain goal, and that sex is all about reaching a goal. And then that's why they start getting into porn and whatnot, and they don't realize that like you have to really explore your sexuality within yourself, your body, your energy, and realize how you're going to actually exchange that with another person, and how that affects you and how that affects another person. There's a lot that goes into it, but if you're taking advantage of it at a young age, you don't have time to explore that, you know?
Totally agree.
And then when it comes to these women, and I know the women have all the same type of issues, except more so because they have all these feelings and they know they can express it, but they just don't know how to express it. And then as they get older, they, you know, we're so trained to focus on youth and following our youth and looking a certain way that you see so many women, and same with men. That's why everyone, you know, you see men being with younger women wanting to be with younger men. But if men are with younger women, it's way more accepted. If women are with younger men, it's less accepted. Except now we have a higher degree for some people that want to go even lower than the age range that they're supposed to, because they're chasing something that they don't feel like they've left yet. And so when you do that, you're not only taking away from yourself to explore your aging, but you're taking away from someone else's ability to explore their aging. Not just their aging, but their sexuality as they age, and how deep of an energetic connection that actually is. You know, everyone now looks at sex like it's such an object to reach a certain thing and to just like be with whoever, whatever, which is fine to explore, but you have to also take into account how that's affecting you internally and how that's affecting somebody else, which is going to be very confusing if you've never had that chance to explore, you know?
Yeah, I agree with that. Because I always say that teenagers should be allowed the ability to explore without being taken advantage of.
Absolutely.
And I feel like explore sexually without being taken advantage of.
And
like,
not pressured.
And not pressured. Like if it's with another teenager and they both consent, it's like, okay, like, you know, like,
yeah, absolutely.
But I don't like when adults, especially like, I don't know about y'all, but like growing up, like men would try to like talk to me, like older men. I don't understand that. Like, I don't get that. I don't understand. Why would a 30-something-year-old want to be with a 15-year-old?
That's weird.
That's just
because they're
weird.
Chasing youth.
Yeah.
Everyone chases youth because we've been trained in the society to reject aging, to reject oldness, to reject, because we're all about the look, and, you know, being old takes away from the youthful glow. And that's why men chase younger women and women chase younger men.
Be to control.
Yeah.
Like
Absolutely.
to mold
It's the
them
dominating.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Just to dominate.
They know they can take advantage. It makes them, give them a power trip because they're like, I know stuff you don't know. Like,
and psychologically, being that young, now you're looking at him, which is gross as hell, like a father figure.
Yes.
And that's going to touch on your dad.
Oh my God. It reminds me of, I don't know if you guys watch Housewives, but Ashley Darby. Like, she was like 27, and the guy that she married, he was like 58 or something. It just didn't make sense. Like, or he was probably in his 60s. Like, it was just ill. But she's biracial, and her father's white. And so, like, I felt like she was chasing her father figure, like a relationship with her father. And it ended up becoming a marriage with this man that she really should have never been with in the first place.
And that's pretty typical. And men and women, whether you have the parent stayed in your life or not, you tend to chase the thing that you never got from the parent by chasing the person who reminds you of the parent. That's why, a lot of men end up with women that are very similar to their mothers.
Yep.
So a lot of women end up with men who are very similar to their fathers, not available, whether it's emotionally or physically or abusive, or even, men, women in reverse of that. We're always chasing the thing. And then in reverse, when older men go for younger women, psychologically, that power trip, they're chasing a thing that they don't feel like they have in their life, which is feeling adequate psychologically, emotionally, energetically. They don't feel like they have a power trip over things or people. They might be chasing something to like be that. They can take care of it. They can show that I'm of this level and that will make me feel a lot better about myself and the rest of my life. I have this thing at home. And then the rest of your life is taken care of because you have something that you can dominate over in the house, that you can feel like you're smarter than, you have more to offer. And then they look at you like you're like,
feeding
so like you're just trauma bonding.
Yeah.
I always say like men who want younger women, like they cannot catch women their age.
Absolutely.
Because women their
they're
age
not
is
adequate.
Just,
they're not on their level.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what it is.
And they're going to call them out on their shit.
On their bullshit,
It reminds me of Marquees Houston too. He started dating a 17-year-old and apparently like, oh, we didn't do anything until she was 19.
Yeah,
But it's like,
that's a lie.
What are you doing? Why are you dating? What's date? Why don't I just be friends?
Right.
What do you get from that? What do you get from that? Why can't, and that begs the question, it's never, what are you getting from the person younger? Sure, you can ask somebody that who, like, say you have an older man, ask someone, what are you looking for in a 21-year-old woman as a 65-year-old man? Oh, this look, that look. They just have more of a pure view on life. Because I've asked a lot of older men this question because as someone who's experienced it as well, you're like, as you realize, you're like, what are you really looking for? But the thing you never ask is like, why not find people your age? Like, what's wrong with the women your age aside from looks? And they just get like defensive. It's like a weird sort of like, oh, they're just like,
so
it's like
I got a
you
question.
get mad.
So what would be the age cutoff for those who want to know? Like some people may want to know what would be the age cutoff. Like,
for you
like say
personally.
someone 35, 36, or 40. Let's just say 35. What would you think is acceptable age?
How old are you?
I'm 27.
27. Okay, I'm 27.
I'm 32.
Okay.
If you're 35, I feel like the absolute minimum would be 25 to 27. Because at least there is a sense of understanding that 25 or 27-year-old can have on their own decisions, on their own judgments, on their own person, on their own life. They're not going to, they have something established in themselves, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, psychologically, So they have their own power over themselves, at least. So that this person may be able to help or influence whatever it is, but they're not going to be determining their whole life or looking up at this person like, oh my God, like you're my father.
Yeah.
At a bare minimum.
Yeah. I personally learned, and I see this playing out, that your cerebral cortex does not fully develop until you're 25. So I feel like any guy over 25 trying to get younger than 25 is abuse.
Absolutely.
Like, even if she's 24, 23, like it's just like it's very strategic.
Yes.
And so that decision making part of your brain is not really there until you're like 26 for real. So I don't know. I feel like a 35-year-old man, I don't know why he can't get a 35-year-old woman. There's so many that's single. I just feel like
30, 31, 32,
but I'll say
40.
Yeah, I say that 5-year range is okay for me. Like 30 to 40. Like if he could find someone in his decade, I'll say the decade makes sense.
Maybe 42.
Maybe, yeah. It depends on the person.
If you go up, cool.
Yeah.
If you go down, your bare minimum, but your average should absolutely be 30. If you're 35, your average should be 30 and above.
Right.
Period.
Yeah. I personally feel like when I was 19, I was dating a 27-year-old, and I felt like it was inappropriate. Like when I look back, like I was totally being preyed on. And some people won't feel that way because they're like, what's the big deal? 19 and 27. Or I think I turned 20. So 20 and 27. But it was a big difference in our mindsets. Like, I'm 27 now, and I would never date a 20-year-old.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Because you still like just transitioning from school, whereas this person completely is finished with school.
Yeah,
like, they're in a working
different place in their life.
adult.
Now my question is, what was that person looking for? What was that person missing in their life that they needed your energy, your 20-year-old energy in their life?
Right, exactly.
What were you chasing?
Exactly.
That's true. I agree with that.
They didn't have nothing going on for themselves, so they needed me to feel alive again. Yeah. That's what it felt like.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I've had experiences, at 16 and whatnot. You're like, you have all these like 20-year-old dudes and they're coming and you're like, oh my God, yay. And they're like doing all these things, like riding around with music and whatnot. You think it's all fun and games. And then you're like, as you get older, you're like, like, why were y'all hanging around me? Us in high school. Why were you guys 20 something years old, hanging around these high school kids. Why are you trying? Like, what are you trying to do? Like,
Right.
what were you missing in your
What are you
life?
trying to
Yeah.
do?
And it's not like anything like sexual happened. It's just like we were all hanging. It's
Mhm.
like, but why are you hanging with high school kids when you're like 25? Like, what are you missing? And it's because like I know those particular people, you know, they peaked in high school and that was like fun and they were like hot shit. And so
They
now
try
they
to
hit a
get that
point.
back.
Yeah, that's the only last
That's
memory
like
of
their
like power
popularity
and
That's
and
like that
everything.
50
Fun.
Cent line. Damn, homie. In high school,
You
you was the man. homie.
Yeah.
What the-
and now what? Now you got nothing, so
Because
you're
you
chasing
see
the
it
only thing you
now,
know.
females, dudes that had it back then,
Mhm.
and then it's like, damn, it's like now life hit. They don't got
yeah,
that
so they got to go to
popularity.
the
People in
place
their
where someone's
face,
gonna
right?
think they're cool.
Yep. That makes sense.
Yeah, and it's the same exact thing. It stays like that as you age. You know, you still are looking for the thing that's going to make you feel cool in a
Yeah.
sense, you know, whatever sense that is.
Mhm.
And that's like if you can't find people in your generation, however old that is, in your generation, what are you missing?
Mhm.
What are you missing that you feel you need that somebody else is going to provide for
Right.
you?
Mhm.
Why
Right.
can't you find, even if it's like, oh, I like the youth. Okay, explore your inner child.
Mhm.
Like if you're, you know, a 40-year-old man looking for like 20-year-old women, or reverse, if you're a 40-year-old woman looking for 20-year-old men and like all those like college kids, why can't you explore your inner child in yourself? Why can't you find that youth in yourself? It doesn't all have to be about obviously looks and power and education. What is it that you don't feel like you have that this person is providing you? And why can't you give that to yourself? What are you
Mhm.
not doing? It's the same as like anything else. Whatever you're looking for externally, you can give to yourself. You just don't want to face that because it might come with some other cans of worms that you got to open. You
Right.
know?
Yep. Agreed.